Imagine a world teeming with different kinds of humans. Not just us, but 8 unique species, each with their own story, their own way of life, now lost to the depths of time. What if I'd told you that we, Homo sapiens, are just the last chapter of an epic saga, the sole survivors of a family tree that once burned bright with diversity? This isn't just a history lesson. It's a journey into who we are, where we came from, and the forgotten relatives who shaped us. Their bones are buried deep, their DNA whispers in our veins, and their legacy lives in every step we take. So, let's dive into the shadows of prehistory, long before cities or writing, to uncover the real story of humanity. A story of 8 human species, each a piece of the puzzle that makes us who we are today. Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthals, Denisovans, Homo floresiensis, Homo naledi, Homo luzonensis, and finally, Homo sapiens. Let's travel back millions of years, to a time when the human story was still raw, written in dirt and stone. It begins with Homo habilis, often called the handyman, emerging around 4 million years ago in the grasslands of East Africa. Picture this: a small, ape-like creature with long arms and a brain not much bigger than a chimpanzee's. They weren't strong or fast, but they had something special: curiosity. Homo habilis was the first to pick up a rock and turn it into a tool, sharpening it with purpose. This wasn't just using nature, it was shaping it. That simple act, crafting a stone into something useful, was the first spark of innovation. It was the moment a creature dared to change the world around them, setting the stage for everything that came after. Homo habilis wasn't just a stepping stone. They were the ancestors of creativity itself, the ones who showed us that we could be more than what nature made us. Fast forward a bit to around 9 million years ago, and we meet Homo erectus, a bolder, more adventurous branch of our family. Unlike Homo habilis, who stayed in Africa, Homo erectus didn't just survive. They explored. They were the first human species to leave Africa, spreading across continents, from Indonesia to China, from Georgia to the Middle East. Their bones have been found in so many places, proof of their wandering spirit. Imagine standing at the edge of an unknown land, with nothing but a stone tool in your hand and a fire to keep you warm. That was Homo erectus, brave, determined, and unstoppable. They mastered fire, crafted better tools, and hunted in groups. What's even more incredible is that they may have lived for nearly 2 million years, longer than any other human species, including us. Think about that. 2 million years of existence. How many things in our modern world last even a fraction of that time? Homo erectus wasn't just a survivor. They were a pioneer, carrying the human story across the globe. Now, let's talk about a name most of us recognize: Neanderthals. But forget the old idea of them as dumb cavemen. They were far from that. Living in the harsh, freezing landscapes of Ice Age Europe, Neanderthals were deeply human. They were stocky and strong, with brains even larger than ours. They hunted massive animals like woolly mammoths, made art by painting on cave walls, and even buried their dead with care, proof they felt loss, maybe even grief. They survived for hundreds of thousands of years in conditions we can barely imagine. And here's something amazing. They didn't just disappear without a trace. Neanderthals met us, Homo sapiens, and interbred. If you have European or Asian ancestry, You likely carry 1 to 2% of Neanderthal DNA in your blood. That means a small part of them lives on in you. But around 40,000 years ago, they faded away. Not in a sudden catastrophe, but quietly, mysteriously, like a shadow slipping into the fog of history. Why did they vanish? That's a question science is still trying to answer. Then there are the Denisovans, one of the most mysterious branches of our family tree. We know so little about them because we've only found a handful of bones and teeth in a Siberian cave back in 2010. Yet, from those tiny clues, we've learned they were real and widespread, living from the highlands of Tibet to the rainforests of Southeast Asia. Like Neanderthals, they left a genetic mark. Modern people from Melanesia and Aboriginal Australians carry up to 5% Denisovan DNA. Who are these people? How did they live? Why do we have so few traces of them? It's as if they're a ghost in our history, a presence we can feel but barely see. Their story is a haunting reminder of how much we still don't know about our past, how many chapters of humanity are still hidden in the earth. Let's shift to something even stranger. In 2003, on the remote Indonesian island of Flores, scientists stumbled upon a tiny skeleton, just over 3 feet tall, with a skull the size of a grapefruit. At first, they thought it was a deformed Homo sapiens, but they were wrong. This was Homo floresiensis, nicknamed the Hobbit by the media. And they earned that name. They used tools, hunted tiny elephants, and probably knew how to use fire. What's wilder is that they might have lived as recently as 50,000 years ago. Think about that. While Neanderthals roamed Europe and Homo sapiens spread across the world, a completely different kind of human was surviving on a forgotten island. Did we Homo sapiens wipe them out? Did rising seas trap them until they couldn't survive? Or, as some local legends suggest, did they linger longer than we think? The mystery of Homo floresiensis is a puzzle we're still piecing together. Another surprise came in 2013, deep in the caves of South Africa, with the discovery of Homo naledi. At first, their bones looked ancient, like something from millions of years ago. Small brains, curved fingers, ape-like shoulders. But when scientists dated the bones, they were shocked. These remains were only about 250,000 years old, meaning Homo naledi lived at the same time as early Homo sapiens. How could something so primitive exist alongside us? Even more astonishing, evidence suggests they might have buried their dead deep in those caves, placing bodies there intentionally over and over. Did a species with a brain the size of an orange understand death? Homo naledi isn't just another ancestor. They're a paradox, a challenge to the idea that human evolution was a straight path. Instead, it's a messy, tangled web, with branches overlapping in ways we never expected. Then in 2019, on the Philippine island of Luzon, scientists found something new again. A few odd teeth and bones, too small to be Neanderthal, too recent to be ancient, too advanced to be ape-like. This was Homo luzonensis, another island-dwelling species, another branch we didn't even know existed. We don't have much to go on, just fragments, but we know they were human in their own unique way. Once again, they remind us that evolution wasn't a neat climb toward us. It was a sprawling experiment, with different kinds of humans popping up in the most unexpected places, each adapting to their own corner of the world. And then there's us, Homo sapiens, appearing around 300,000 years ago in Africa. At first, we were just one of many, a single species among a crowd of cousins. But we didn't stay that way. We spread quickly, crossing deserts, oceans, mountains, and forests. We were adaptable, creative, and social. We painted on cave walls, made tools from bone and antler, and developed language to talk about things beyond the present. Gods, spirits, dreams of the future. Along the way, we met the others. Neanderthals, Denisovans, maybe even Homo naledi, or floresiensis. Sometimes we clashed, sometimes we connected, and sometimes just by showing up, we outlasted them. By 10,000 years ago, all the other human species were gone. We were the only ones left standing. Why did we survive when the others didn't? Was it our ability to think ahead, to imagine things that didn't exist, to plan for a future we couldn't see? Was it our knack for working together, building complex societies with language and empathy? Or was there a darker side? Were we more aggressive, better at competing, at pushing others out? Some scientists think it was luck, a change in climate we adapted to better than the rest, or a random genetic twist that gave us an edge. Others believe we simply arrived last and took what was left. This question keeps researchers up at night. Every ancient bone we dig up, every scrap of DNA we pull from a fossil, brings us closer to an answer, but not quite there. The deeper we look, the more we realize we were never alone, not until the very end. Once, the world was alive with many kinds of humans. They hunted, they created, they mourned their dead around flickering fires. Now, they're gone, and we're not so much winners as we are the last ones standing, orphans of a lost family. Our dominance isn't the grand finale of evolution. It's just the final page of a long epic book with most of the chapters ripped out. This story isn't just about us rising to the top. It's about the heroes we'll never meet, the relatives we never knew we had. Their blood may be faint, but their memory lingers in the shadows of caves, in the shapes of ancient fossils, and in the quiet echoes of our own DNA. Maybe we weren't meant to be the only ones. But now that we are, we owe it to them to remember. When you look in the mirror, don't just see your face. See the layers beneath, the stories written in your bones. You might carry the strength of a Neanderthal, built for battle and cold. You might have the endurance of a Denisovan, adapted for life in the highest mountains. Deep in your genes, there could be traces of Homo floresiensis or Homo naledi, whispers of lives we barely understand. We call ourselves the last, the best, the chosen. But maybe we're not the end of the story, just a continuation. Human history isn't a straight road of progress. It's not a tidy climb to perfection. It's a broken mosaic, pieced together over millions of years. Homo habilis struck the first spark with their tools, showing us we could shape our world. Homo erectus carried that fire across continents, proving we could explore and endure. Neanderthals showed us how to survive in the harshest of times. Denisovans adapted to places we couldn't imagine living. Even the outliers, like Homo naledi and Homo luzonensis, remind us that humanity took many forms, each finding a way to exist. These weren't failed experiments. They were different ways of being human, different answers to the question, what could humanity be? Some were tougher. Some were cleverer. Some shone bright and faded fast. We like to think we're the ultimate result, that everything before us was just practice for Homo sapiens. But the truth is humbler. We're not the peak. We're the last survivors. Each lost species was a road not taken, a voice silenced, a way of seeing the world we'll never know. We gained the earth, but we inherited it alone. So, when you look in the mirror again, see more than just yourself. See the faces beneath your own, the ones whose struggles and victories built the ground you stand on. Humanity was never one story. It was many, each with its own meaning of what it meant to be human. But they're not entirely gone. They live on in science, in memory, and in us. For too long, we thought of evolution as a ladder, each step taking us higher to some perfect version of ourselves. But nature doesn't work that way. It doesn't build ladders. It grows trees. Picture an ancient tree, older than time, its trunk thick with history, its branches twisting in every direction. Some branches stop short, cut off by extinction. Others loop back, blending into us through shared genes. And from one of those final branches, we emerged. But we're not separate from this tree. We're not above it. We are the tree. Its roots run deep in us. Its branches hold our past. Every time you create something, light a fire, comfort a friend, or wonder about your place in the world, you're continuing what they started. You're not alone on this branch. You're a leaf at the tip of an ancient limb held up by the strength of everything that came before. And the story isn't over. The tree keeps growing. Today, we build machines smarter than us, dream of living on other planets, and chase progress at lightning speed. But in all this rush, how often do we stop to ask, who are we, really? Not just by name or job, but by something deeper, something woven into our very core. You're not just one person in a busy world. You're the result of millions of years of survival, of ancient journeys, near disasters, and quiet miracles. You carry the breath of Neanderthals, the fire of Homo erectus, the grit of forgotten cousins who faced the unknown and kept going. You hold not just potential, but a legacy, not just smarts, but memory. You're the living echo of stories never told, languages never heard, faces long turned to dust. And if you ever feel small or lost, remember this. You're not an accident. You're not alone. You're part of a family older than time. You're their dream, still alive. So, as we reach for the stars and shape new futures, let's not forget the ancient world that shaped us. If this story stirred something in you, if you felt the flicker of an ancient fire or saw a shadow of another face in your reflection, don't let the past fade. Subscribe to Prehistoric Shadows. Here, we honor them. We give voice to the silent. We shine a light into the dark caves of memory. Together, we explore the question, what does it truly mean to be human? Prehistoric Shadows, where the forgotten walk again, where ancient blood still speaks, where history isn't done, but waiting to be rediscovered.